welcome back to another episode on the channel. It's been a while, but today we are doing something that every single automatic transmission owner should be doing. We are fitting a transmission cooler to the mighty XR8. So we'll go through what's in the kit and then we're going to go through how to fit it to the car. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple, so let's start. So this is a PWR kit. This is a made in Australia brand, so that's why we sort of want to go for it. Top quality coolers, so you can get those. Just go on their website, you can find exactly what you need. This kit is suited to the Falcon, so it comes with nice lines here that will be able to run it from back under here all the way to the front bumper, which we'll go over in a sec. It also comes with these delicious fittings here and here, so that we can then change it up and put it to where we need it to be. We can go over that a bit later once it's in the car. It has these mounting friggin' zip ties here, which we don't know if we might use, might do something else. It comes with these two brackets as well, and of course hose clamps, and a bit of this good stuff here. So we're going to chuck it all together and go from there. So the first step we're going to do is jack the car up, and then once the car is fully up, we're going to take the front bumper off, because the cooler actually will sit in this location here. So that's where a lot of other fellas are doing it. You can actually mount it under the car, but if you do that, I'd suggest putting a fan on it so it can suck air through. If you don't do that, you're going to get a lot of stale air there. So, on to the next job. Alright, front bar is off. As you probably saw in the time lapse there, I let Steve pop the last bit because I broke these clips on mine, so I didn't want to risk it on someone else's car. I did manage to fix that on my car though. So yep, all done. Now, the cooler lines are on this side. So, the horns are over here. Now, a lot of people are putting it on the horn side of the car. We'll have a look at what our brackets we have and where we can get stuff to fit. But it's looking like we're going to have to put it on this side here. But we will go see. We could put it in front of the AC cooler, but yeah, we might see. We'll have a look. We'll get the brackets out, give it a geezer. Alrighty, so on a lot of the cars that I've seen on the interwebs, you guys have chucked it up in this bit here. I am not particularly a fan of that, as you're not getting as much airflow as you would be getting if you chucked it on the front here. Now, the kit that is provided here, that suits a BA and a BF. So there's brackets that sit on your cooler here for your power steering, that the brackets are slightly different, so these actually will marry up nicely and make it work. PWR recommends that if you can't get the bracketry to work and you don't want to put it over under here or on this side or even under the car, you can use the special zip ties and foam padding to zip tie it to the front of the AC cooler. So, I mean, it's not a bad thing to do. These are like the proper radiator zip ties. You also get these foam, which you should be putting on, because the foam is what's going to space out the AC from your transmission cooler and stop them rubbing, because that is a major issue. You don't want them rubbing together. So we might do that, even though it might not be the best thing to not be using the bracketry, and we could make up our own brackets, and from here to here we could do something like that. But for the sake of it being a nice, quick, easy install, and that it's been done before, it's what PWR also has recommended you can do. We don't really feel like manufacturing something all up around here for what I personally think is not as good airflow as directly in front. And the aim of the game is to keep the transmission cold, so we're sort of going to do it that way. We're going to probably drop it down. We'll talk to Steve where he wants it, because ideally it'd be good to have it up the top here so it's getting maximum airflow. So we'll also have to see where the lines are going to match up. So we might give it a quick squeeze. We will have to undo some bolts in here and pull the forward a little bit, this AC cooler. We'll pull that forward a little bit so we can get behind there with it. And then we shall clip it together. So that's another way to do it if you don't want to make the brackets, which we don't really feel like doing. And but it's unfortunate, but this kit will work perfectly on an older model BF, and you can actually get, or a BA, you can actually get the instruction manual on the internet for this. So yeah, you can do that, but this is what we're doing with the FGs, so don't hate too much. So now we're going on to fitting up the hosing now. So in the beginning of the video, I did say we go off the transmission. That is not correct. Upon further inspection over here, we have brackets over here, I believe, up in here, up in those ones here. So that's where we're gonna tee into. So that's what these brackets are for. So we're gonna smash it into that, and then we run it up through here. Now, we probably wouldn't want to be touching these anyway because they are heat wrapped, so they're protected from the exhaust, where up here they aren't. So we can easily tee into that, plug her in, and then be done with it. Alrighty, so we've undone that end, pushed it back so we can get good access to that clip. Now in the kit, we might not be doing this right again. The kit does suit BF to BA, BF to FG. This is what's supplied. What we've done is we've taken the fitting off the factory line because the hard line on the car itself is one of these lines. So the idea is that the factory line would plug into this. So normally that would work, but for some reason ours is different. So we've taken the factory plug and we've whacked it onto our new lines, and then that'll plumb into the factory lines for the transmission. So it'll still be all OEM, but we're going to get rid of all that, which is going to be good. We were a bit worried because once we had it all apart, we're like, what the hell's going on? But once this is all put together with a hose clamp on it, it'll be Mickey Mouse. So we'll do that, get this all together, we'll replace a little O-ring on here, and then we shall be cooking with gas. We'll get the other one done as well, and we'll make sure we match it. So this line here, sorry, this one here, that was the bottom one. So that goes to the bottom of the radiator. So we'll make sure we put this to the bottom of our cooler, and then the top hose that goes to the top of the radiator. Of course, these have an inbuilt one where the transmission cooler runs inside the radiator. So that's why we're running a separate one now. So that's how we're going to do it. So we'll quickly get all this sorted. If the fitting isn't going to push onto the hose nicely, you can sit the tip in the hose in boiling water for 5 minutes or so it starts to go a bit soft, and then you can push it on and let it cool down after that. So we'll quickly get that done and we shall get it sorted. These are a bit of a pain in the ass to get off, so just be careful when you're getting them off. And also it's hard to get this off the old hose, so we had to pull on it pretty hard. So we'll quickly smash that out and then we'll give it a quick go. Also, obviously, because we're not running anything, we're going to have to block off our old radiator. So we'll put that fitting back in and then we'll block this side off so that we aren't getting any leftover transmission fluid falling out as we are driving. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, there we go. They've now got the OEM fittings on there, hose clamped up. They were super tight, so they're not going to be leaking anytime soon. Now, next step, run these hoses. And we might actually mount this cooler first so we know where to run them. The cooler's going to probably face this way, so we're going to have the hoses come down. But if the hose is going to run nicer coming this way, we might face it this way so we can loop it down under. We're going to have a look how that's going to run. But we will smack to when that's started. But yeah, pretty easy install. I hope you guys are following along easily enough. Alright, before we chuck everything in, I'd also like to tell everyone, if you go to an auto parts store, you can get this spiral wrap. So since we're going to be running new lines, they're not the factory ones, we want to sort of keep them together, neat. This shit is the duck's nuts for that. You wrap it all together, keeps it nice and neat, it also protects it, and it makes it easier for zip tying it up. So we're going to run it along this chassis bit, bring it up through here, and then up through here. We're going to zip tie it up here with some big zip ties, keep it all nice and neat. But yeah, you should definitely get some spiral wrap just to protect it all, because the last thing we want is these hoses to rub through on something. So that's the next step, while Steve's down there hooking up what we've taken off back there. Like I said, that's not necessary. We've just done that to make it a bit easier to get these clips off, because these are a pain in the ass to get done. Okay, next step will be sorting it out. So we are gonna put the cooler on this side of the radiator here. That way we have a nice even loop to run through. So we will bring this condenser forward so that we can get these specially made zip ties behind there. So we'll through the back there, sorted. and then we'll mount the cooler and then we can get our lines hooked up. Okay, so the way that these zip ties work is they go into the fins of the radiator, as you can see. So this doesn't actually damage it because that's just the cooling fins. So as long as we're not damaging the solid bits, we're all sweet. So that's how we're going to mount it, and then on the condenser they're going to push through the exact same way. And that way they'll be sweet. But don't forget to put in the cushion in between the cooler and the condenser, otherwise they're gonna rub. But we already talked about that, but that's the last thing I want is you guys messaging me saying, oh, I've got freaking transmission oil everywhere because it rubbed through. So just be mindful of that when you put this together this particular way. Alrighty, there it is, all mounted up with our special zippy ties. So that's mint. It's got a nice gap there because of those bushes. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a nice little gap in there. So that's what those are for. So this is going to be perfect. We're just going to quickly run our hose up through here, loop it around and cut it to the appropriate length, zip tie it all up nice and neat, and then we'll run it, check for leaks, and then top up the transmission. So you will need to get a bit of transmission oil as well. You probably won't lose much, but just on the safe side. So we'll quickly smash that, and the next time you see it will be when it's starting up. Alright, now we've got to go check everything. Gonna let it run. Make sure we got no leaks anywhere, which we don't appear to. We'll check under the car where we had all this off. All good in the hood under here. Then we'll go check up the front here where we teed into the original lines. Look in there, no leaks. And look at that, all nice and tidy up in there, up around, and then up into the cooler. Now, to check the transmission level, there's a bung on the side of the ZF. You need to undo that. You have to get the transmission warm or hot. So we're just gonna let it sit here for a little bit. You can put it in drive and then put your foot on the brake just so it stalls out the converter and it gets it nice and hot quicker. So we might do that just so it warms up a bit. But a good way to know if it's warm is you feel your cooler and the cooler will be nice and warm. So fantastic. That's pretty much it. We just got to throw the front back together again and the job's done. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Keep on boosting and we'll see you in the next video.